Welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life show. When you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with chronic disease? We all do. It's been programmed right into us. But what if we flip that whole idea on its head? Let's discover how we can create chronic health in our bodies, our minds, our finances, our relationships, and of course, in our lives. Let's jump right on in. I'm Andy, and Minna's my life partner in all things.
I thought you forgot what I asked. So the topic of today is trauma, right?
Yes.
And before all this education that had going on, I thought trauma just means like accidents, like bodily harm. Like you had a traumatic accident before, right?
Correct. Yeah, a lot of people, when they think about trauma, is usually physical trauma, like you said, car accidents. And for those that know my story, I had a really bad car accident when I was 18 that led to, the breaking down my body over the next 20 years. But, find out more, read my book. But anyways, when it comes down to trauma, there's so much more trauma. Like growing up in my family, my whole family suffered emotional trauma from the relationship between my mom and dad.
Yeah, no one actually talked about emotional trauma in our age, like, even in the 50s group until lately. So we didn't know that it's a thing, but it's actually a thing. It is a thing. And any kind of trauma would create a whole lot of stress in your body, which would kill would have an effect on your health.
Exactly. And, it was funny because, growing up in I guess in a Chinese family, traditional, in my family, because I never gone to anyone else's family until I met Minna's family later on, many years later. We have stuff flying across the room. They'll be arguing, and me and my brother will be just watching TV like it's just another night, because we thought that was normal. And now that I'm older, I was like, wow, that was not right. Like that, there was some verbal abuse. There, like even though there wasn't anyone actually getting hurt, that is abusive, right? And that is trauma. And the interesting thing is, in my family of 10, I'm the youngest of 10 siblings because both my parents were remarried, which was a lot of trauma too, which they traumatized their kids every time they divorced and had new kids. Every single one of my siblings are either divorced or they refuse to get married because they saw what a crappy thing having a relationship means.
Yeah, so in terms of trauma, I think like when you have a physical trauma, you are well aware of it, and a lot of people would take some action against it. So you learn how to take care of yourself, you come out of it, right? But sometimes when you deal with emotional trauma, you don't even know that you're in it. So even though you're impacted by it, you didn't know, so you won't know how to take action against it, right? Which is why a lot of people actually start having chronic diseases. Just because they're so stressed out from these emotional trauma that they didn't even know they have. And, we have coaches that help you bring that out of you and how to overcome it, right? So it's a condition that you can take control in your own hands. I know that whatever happened to you is not in your control, but how you react to the situation, that's in your control.
Exactly. And trauma, it goes so deep in so many ways now. Because like Minna says, it doesn't have to be physical trauma. You can, we were just talking backstage. with our trauma specialist, Jessica, is like everything's going AI now, everything's going social. People get traumatically abused online now too, right? So you can actually be receiving trauma without even knowing who's directing the trauma to you. And like Minna says, it's just because they're directing it at you doesn't mean you need to accept it. It just really depends on how you react to what's being said. And if it's not true, then hey, it's okay for what they say. That's their belief. You believe that you're a good person. You believe what they say is not true, and just let that trauma go, right?
Yeah, I think if you feel like you have a lot of stress and you don't know where it's coming from, it's a good sign that you probably need to talk to someone. It's like one of the coaches, some type of coach that will help you bring that out, help you figure out what is it that's stressing you out, because eventually that stress is going to cause you real physical problems.
Exactly. And there's so much studies now that trauma, physical stress, like emotional stress is just as hard on the body as physical stress, right? Like we talked about, like a motor vehicle accidents or whatever accidents where you're breaking bones, like those are physical trauma. But mental stress that you're unaware of in your head, that can be helped. Like Minna says, we have so many coaches that can help you on that. And of course, Jessica is going to give us a lot of tips on that a little later today. But yeah, we need to recognize that when it comes to emotional trauma or trauma that we don't even know about, sometimes it is about trying to talk it out with someone to dig a little deeper for you to even realize you have that trauma.
For sure. So let's switch gear a little bit. You're changing up the format of a biohack. So what are you talking about today?
So today I have so many vegan friends, right? And we're changing up our biohacking format to start dispelling myths, that influence will talk about, or doctors will talk about, or coaches, like not coaches, but I guess personal trainers, right, would be talking about. And in most cases, what they're saying is true to a certain aspect, but not true for everything. And the problem is when you're learning from these people that 1 minute 30-second TikTok, you're not getting all that information. So today, I'm going to dispel the myth a little bit about the vegan diet. Like, is eating vegan actually better for you? Or is it possibly that you're nutrition deficient? Check it out in my next biohacking episode and decide for yourself. Hey everyone, it's Andy from Chronically Healthy Life, and on this week's biohacking episode, I want to talk about how the vegan diet can be nutrition deficient. And before all my vegan friends think that I fell off the rocker and this is all crazy, let me tell you the facts and you decide on your own which way you want to go. So first of all, when it comes to the vegan diet, it's very hard to get all your amino acids, like all your essential amino acids. These are the building blocks of your cells, and we need this from the foods that we eat. And when it comes to plant-based products, none of them have all 9 of the essential amino acids. Like maybe there's 1 or 2 foods that actually have it, like spirulina, right? While meat products, you eat 1 egg, you get all 9 essential amino acids. And why are essential amino acids so important? Well, like I said, they're the building blocks of your body, specifically glycine, histidine, and lysine. These 3 are very important in helping your body repair itself and to give you healthy glowing skin. The second thing is plant-based products are typically lower in copper bioavailability. And that is a problem because when you have copper with the glycine, histidine, and lysine, they form GHKCU, which is a copper peptide, which actually lowers inflammation in your body. This is something it naturally does. It boosts heart health, it creates new blood vessels, it gives you new collagen, and most importantly, it creates new stem cells. So if you're lacking these in a vegan diet, you may not be getting all these regenerative benefits. And thirdly, when you come down to eating a vegan diet, a lot of it is heavily covered with chemicals and pesticides like glyphosate, right? So here you are, you think you're eating something healthy, but in fact, you're feeding your body toxins, right? And this is a case where the the cons definitely overweigh the pros, right? You think you're eating something healthy, but you're filling your bodies with toxins, which is another problem, which causes inflammation, which will lead to chronic disease. So when it comes down to eating vegan, it's very important to eat across the rainbow, eat your nuts, eat your leafy greens, eat your vegetables, eat your fruits to try to get all the amino acids that you can. The second thing is always eat organic. That's important. You're trying to get less of these chemicals. And thirdly is you need to eat a lot, because most people that are vegan are eating way too little. And if you're eating very little, one, you're not fueling your body with enough energy. And two, you're just not gaining nutrients. So you will need to supplement. Supplement with the pockets that you're missing when you're on the vegan diet, and also supplement on the amino acids. And most importantly, supplement your glycine, histidine, and lysine, and maybe even copper, so you can boost your GHK-Cu to elevate your stem cells, right? And if you want to do that naturally with the proper diet, and you want to bring it up to the next level, this active stem cell activation patch here will help you with that too. So reach out to us. We'll go through your diet. We'll help you figure out where the pockets are, and most importantly, we're going to help you reverse any chronic conditions your body may have, and even help you reverse your age. We'll see you next week.
Why do 98% of beauty enthusiasts rave about coolness? It's all in the blend of ancient wisdom and modern science. Introducing Coolness Pearlescent Face and Eye Serum Cream. This powerhouse combines the antioxidative power of schisandra berries, the glow of pearl powder, and the hydrating wonders of dragon's blood extract. It's like a time machine for your skin, making it radiant, firm, and oh so smooth. Inspired by ancient Chinese traditions and backed by modern nutritional science, this serum cream is perfect for dry, mature, and aging skin. Say goodbye to dullness and hello to youthful radiance. And guess what? For a limited time, you get a free cooling eye cream applicator with your purchase. It's time to unlock your inner glow with coolness. So what are you waiting for? Treat your skin to the best of both worlds today.
An empowered life has no expiration date. We're all created to do incredible things, like conquer summits, catch big waves, and live our passions. As time goes on, our bodies begin to show signs that things just aren't as they used to be. Our energy levels decline, sleep patterns shift, and recovery slows. But our bodies are masterpieces of design, holding the potential to bounce back better than ever. With X39, we achieved something remarkable in the field of wellness and regenerative science that others could not. By utilizing LifeWave's unique patented technology, X39 uses light to elevate GHK-Cu, a copper peptide known to support overall health and wellness. Unlike traditional light therapy, which requires external light sources, X39 uses the body's own infrared light to naturally increase vitality, enhancing the body's flow of natural energy. For improvements in strength, stamina, performance, and overall health and well-being, with the simplicity of an affordable, non-invasive, non-transdermal patch. As we age, levels of these life-enhancing elements, which are associated with wellness and longevity, begin to decline. LifeWave invested 10 years into stem cell research, which resulted in over 70 patents. X39 was born to bring to the public a product that could support wellness in an entirely new way, supporting the production of younger, healthier cells with wearable light technology. Becoming a powerhouse is easier than you think. Harness your body's natural potential to maintain youthful energy and vitality, because life comes at you fast, but it doesn't have to pass you by. Live long, live well, live young. Be the light with LifeWave X39. LifeWave.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life show. I am very happy to introduce you to our guest today, Jessica Hammack. Jessica is a powerhouse in heart, mind, and body wellness. As the founder of Vibrant Voice, a licensed trauma specialist, and Director of Behavioral and Mental Health, serving over 25,000 students. She helps people unwind the treasure from their trauma and break free from what's holding them back. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you. So excited to be here.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you. You know, I have to ask you this phrase, unwind the treasure from your trauma. What is that? That is an interesting thing. I was like, what is that?
You know, so many people, when they experience trauma, truly, they think that that's all of who they are. They look at this from a place of brokenness, a place of pain. A lot of people describe it as ashes. Some people describe it as a wrecking ball came in and just took everything over. But the truth is, there is treasure and beauty in who you are and who you're created to be and how you're meant to show up in this world. And I kind of think of myself, I say treasure hunter. My job in working with you is to go through and sort through some of the filters, the mindsets, the beliefs, the thoughts, all the things to say, no, this is still a treasure piece of you. This is not gone because you experienced a trauma.
You know, trauma is one of those words that's almost becoming a buzzword these days.
Yeah.
And, you know, we all know what physical trauma is. You know, you've been in a car accident, you've broken a bone, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But what other kinds of traumas that we don't even acknowledge, like emotional traumas, for example, can really
So a lot of people, what you referenced initially is what most people define as big T trauma. It's like car accidents, war, abuse. What most people don't know about is what we actually could in the field call little T traumas. Like that feeling you get, well, maybe not you, but the feeling you get when you go to the grocery store and you want to pay for the cart of groceries that used to be $195 and now it's $652, and your heart starts palpitating and you're going to swipe your card and you're like, oh my gosh, is it going to go through? Is it going to go through? What are they thinking of me? And then the electronic machine is having a blitz, and so you think that you're like going to fall apart right there in the grocery store aisle at the checkout. That's trauma. Okay. It is an injury in your nervous system, and usually it's tied to a past story or a past belief. You could have learning trauma around a learning experience you had that was unpleasant or uncomfortable, based on a teacher and how they treated you. You can have money traumas, you know, anything, lots of different money traumas. There are relationship traumas, like where you lost sight of who you were in a relationship, you were treated poorly, and you sacrificed in showing up in how you were created in your design. And there's a relationship. So there's this injury that is sustained in the nervous system, and it either fixates on our emotional experiences. So we have people who have a lot of emotions about something, but they never talk about it. Or they have a lot of talking and they tell it over and over and over and over again, but they haven't allowed themselves to experience the emotions that they went through in a safe setting. And so those two parts of them are playing back and forth, and they're unable to resolve themselves.
You know, it seems like there are a lot of people that keep repeating the same pattern over and over. Like my brother is one of those people. He keeps marrying these horrible narcissistic women that are very abusive, and he can't see it. And you know, he's over 60 now and he's still doing it. You know, so it's like where there's trauma there. I know what the trauma is from our childhood, but it's like that's
men.
We're not.
So I will say
with
this. Yeah, men, I think, have a more difficult time identifying trauma because so trauma originally came about in the identifiers of it, the symptoms of it, the discovery of it, when they were studying the veterans coming back from the Vietnam War. Before that, they actually labeled it hysteria. And so trauma in men, I believe, does look like this repetitive cycle of emotions show up, we release them, we bypass them, and then we go on. And there's not a lot of digging in and resolving it, where trauma in women tends to show up in these emotional shutdowns, sacrificing themselves, their belief systems, But what happens is we can actually trauma bond to people or to an idea of a person. Essentially, the case with potentially your brother. He has a trauma bond or a wound, maybe from a mother figure or in a past wife relationship that we often. So this is what I'll say is that's what I love about this show is we are wired towards health. We are wired to go towards health and life. And our system is wired to push us in that direction. And I believe it brings it cyclically back around in our lives in certain areas. In this case, with his wife relationship, his life is desired to resolve that. But if we don't confront the woundedness and how it's impacting us, then essentially that's why we keep repeating the same cycle, because we're not actually dealing with the woundedness factor.
Do you think it's harder to deal with emotional wounds than physical wounds?
Okay. Yes. There's a great quote by C.S. Lewis, and I'm not going to get it all right because I didn't have it all memorized. But essentially it says it's easier to deal with physical pain than it is to deal with mental pain. It's easier to go to the dentist and say my tooth is aching than it is to say my heart is breaking.
That's so true.
I mean, truly, we have had a culture, lifetimes of culture that look at the physical aspect of things to address them. What they're slowly looking at now, I believe more, which is why trauma is being more the buzzword, is that what I call the soul aspect, your mind, will, intellect, and emotions. But trauma ultimately roots itself in our spirit, that heart essence spirit being part of us. And I think until people are willing to look at all three parts of that and how they're all connected, you can deal with trauma in the body and healing the physical injury. But also attached to that is going to be some emotions, some feelings, some unresolved safety issues potentially in your spirit, heart part of you. And if you don't resolve that, you still could drive by, like say you had a car accident, you could still drive by the crash site and have a visceral reaction in your body.
That I've actually had that happen.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And so then it's just acknowledge I'm having this visceral reaction because I'm driving past the intersection where that guy hit me. And, and working through that.
It is creating safety in the current story. So a lot of times the trauma continues to resurface in our body, in our mind, what we're thinking, what we're feeling, our emotions, the story we're telling, because we haven't been able to process it in a safe setting, meaning an emotionally safe setting. So the way that you would navigate that if you're driving past a crash site or past a site where you used to have a crash is navigating it where you keep your body calm and you give your mind that information. I'm safe. I'm okay. I'm alive. I'm well. This is not going to happen. Like I have the skills and tools, whatever, but it's language to rewire your brain pathways while your body is calm. And so if your heart is palpitating, that's a trauma response in your body, a stress response from trauma in your body that's saying you're not safe in this place. So it's breathing to calm your body down, right? To relax your heart rate, to get out of fight or flight, and then giving your mind new information in that process.
That makes sense. That makes sense, so that you're literally you're rewiring it so that you're not having that
the same trigger place. The
trigger thing.
It is. Because we store the memory in our bodies of what happens to us. There's great books out there that talk about this, but we store emotional memories in our body. And if we go back through a place or go back by a place and we're dysregulated, meaning our heart rate is elevated, we're breathing fast, our body is in that fight or flight response again. So we have not given our body new information from a place of safety. So it's going to continue to be triggered. That's why certain smells trigger trauma reactions in people. Smells, sights, sounds, and you can do healing work and think you're past something, and then another trigger can happen, and it's working through where that might have been connected in the trauma storyline that hasn't been told from a safe setting.
Right. Like peeling the onion, the layers of it. Yeah. Yeah, that you said something interesting to me that I really liked, which is that trauma is an injury to the system. And I like that because it's not just your body, it's your entire system, your being.
Yeah. You know, here's the thing. Trauma is an injury that usually is caused by a break in relationship, or a break in the relationship to an event, situation, or person. And so we have expectations. And if we define expectations as here and reality is down here, what happens in the middle is intense emotions. And that's usually where the injury occurs. We expected to go to work, everything to be great. We had a car accident. In this place, we didn't work through those emotions, and our system got stuck. But here's the really great part of that, is that injuries can heal.
Yes.
And that's the piece I love about it the most, is while there is a label of a disorder, the reason they had that was to fund the studying of these symptoms. What they found in the research and the study is that it's not a disorder the same way as other disorders in the DSM manual, but it is truly an injury, and injuries can heal. And they're healed by safety in relationship.
So then that's why sometimes it's very valuable to have someone who creates a safe space for you to work through the emotions. But also, isn't it important to not linger in those emotions and latch onto them and make yourself into kind of a victim over it?
Yeah, I think
seems just as destructive.
Yeah, I think there's a balance. Like, it all comes down to a choice. If you are choosing to heal, right? You're choosing to not be stuck. And if there is an individual who is stuck in that pattern of emotions, somewhere along the line, there's a belief system that they've anchored to, that this is how they get love, support, and attention.
Anchored to. I love that phrase. I love the way you say these words. They create these images that make you go, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
That explains a lot.
Yeah. And sometimes those things our relationships of safety and support begin to be formed at birth, even pre-birth in utero. We've tracked how a mom having anxiety and depression, a child will have a propensity to that because of the mother's own levels. So sometimes we have a trauma for something in our nervous system because of something our mom dealt with while we were in utero. There's a lot of traumas that occur pre-verbally, which can lend itself to that victim stage. So what I'll say is that if you have that pattern, it's important not to just work in safety, but to explore what belief systems are attached to it that's holding you down.
Oh, yes. And and fearlessly explore. Yes. Wow. Oh, Jessica, this is fascinating. I'm really enjoying this conversation. I'm very interested. When we come back, let's dive into how ignoring these patterns can manifest as disease, whether I would imagine it can manifest as emotional, physical, mental, any kind of disease. Yes.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody stay tuned. Come back and join us with Jessica Hammock after this.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look. At the speed of science. At longevity. At exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take control of your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
Have you ever felt stuck in your marriage, wondering if things will ever get better? Meet Samantha Kawa, the marriage coach who's helping people transform their relationships in ways they never thought possible. Having saved her own marriage twice, Samantha knows the way forward. If you're ready to rebuild trust, reconnect, and create the love you deserve, visit www.thegems.com today, because the first step to transforming your marriage starts with you.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life show. We're here with Jessica Hammock, who is an amazing expert in trauma. And honestly, I think that is something that affects all of us at some level. So welcome back, Jessica.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here.
We're glad to have you. So let's talk about how the patterns of ignoring, and I think a lot of people, drinking too much, eating too much, using drugs or alcohol, any kind of overdoing is kind of an avoidance of trauma, and how that can eventually lead to the dis-ease, and your health can really be affected.
I think what most people do, so those would all be avoidance strategies that people want to avoid experiencing the emotional pain from traumas. But what I don't think people realize is that emotions are stored in different organs of your body.
Really?
So for example, your liver is where rage and anger is held. Your kidneys is where fear is held. Your lungs is typically where grief is held. Your heart holds stress. And so that's just a few of them. But almost 80 to 90% of diseases and syndromes can actually be tracked back to emotional roots in different organ and body systems. So
that is amazing.
Yeah. So what people don't realize is they might have experienced a trauma that they might have perceived, well, it wasn't that bad. Here's what I hear a lot from people, especially people over 40. I didn't have a bad life. I wasn't abused. I wasn't physically abused. I had a roof over my head and I had food on the table. But that doesn't mean that you didn't go through some sort of trauma. You know, the levels that we go through trauma are all different. The levels of resiliency that we have are all different. But that if you did not work through it at some capacity or other, you can actually experience physical breakdown of those organs later in life, diseases, even traced to different things. Now, I'm not a diagnostician, so let me put that disclaimer out there.
Yeah.
But I have personal friends, testimonies who have been diagnosed with cancers and all sorts of syndromes that did emotional work only without other medical treatments. This is not a disclaimer to ignore your doctor, but what I'm saying is they did the emotional work and the body healed itself. So it's really important to recognize is if you are dealing with a physical illness or ailment, is your body experiencing?
Yes, do you remember an author named Louise Hay? Yeah, she wrote the mind, Your Mind Can Heal You books, and that was her premise as well.
Yeah,
But
and there's a lot of authors that actually trace it to different things. And so it's not to say that we shouldn't follow a medical course of treatment or something like that. But I think depending on your generation and depending on your family of origin, like this is just our norm or this happens all the time, it doesn't diminish the fact that your body still holds on to things. There's great books. Gabor Mate is When the Body Says No. Stephen Porges, I think, is When the Body Keeps the Score. Like there's some great authors that specifically this is their line of work and focus on that. But what I will say is that releasing those emotions is the start to healing the trauma where it's stored at different parts in your body. Even chronic pain can be a result of the fact that you have experienced traumas that you have not emotionally processed.
Oh, yes. I've heard that before. Like the neck, pain in the neck, stabbed in the back kind of thing.
Yeah.
Feeling like
our pain receptors are signals of diverting energy from one part of the body to another to get us to focus on it. And here's the little analogy I like to tell. Your heart sustained a wound because of the trauma that you experienced. So your mind got involved and says, here's, you're going to think this way. You're going to try this thing. And so the heart's like, fine, I'll try that thing. And it doesn't work. And so those two go back and forth like big siblings trying to fix this problem. And the body finally shows up like the ultimate big sibling and is like, listen, I am done with the two of you arguing. I'm going to show up and have some symptoms and I'm going to shut this party down. Yeah. And all of a sudden we have these symptoms. We're like, I guess I better go get treatment for the symptoms that I have. So we go to a professional that treats the physical symptoms that we have. But oftentimes, occasionally, we will go to a person that treats the mind symptoms that we're experiencing. But very seldom do we go to somebody that will also treat the heart symptoms that we're experiencing. And the reality is, it does not mean that it will take it fully away. But we can have a movement by just treating the body or just treating the mind. But true healing comes when we have treated the body, the mind, the soul parts of us, mind, will, intellect, and emotions, and our spirit, that heart part of us.
Yes. And too, I think people make this into a big boogeyman when it only seems that way. Because once you start working through, you realize it's more like like if your wounded child, if you had a wounded child, you would comfort them and, it'd be okay and give them hot chocolate or whatever.
It is. I think people fear releasing emotions. They think it's going to be this major thing. Like I'm going to open Pandora's box and be shut down for weeks and my life is going to fall apart and I'm not going to know what to do with it. Right. And it's not always like that, but it is important to approach these things, to begin to tell a new story, to have new experiences anchored in peace and safety. This is what I tell people when they're resistant to wanting to process is your brain is a little bit like a teenager in that your brain likes to exert as little energy as possible, experience as little pain as possible, and enjoy as much pain as possible. So it sort of likes to be like a teenager where it wants to roll out of bed every day at 11 o'clock, lay on the couch in sweatpants, texting on its phone, and feel amazing at doing it. Yeah. And as adults, we're like, well, how is that going to work, right? So our brain is going to object to anything beyond that. It wants to do nothing and feel amazing at doing nothing. And the truth is there's other systems in our body that are like, hey, we're in pain down here. We need this taken care of.
Yeah, don't make me pull over the car. Right. I'll turn around. Right. I'll take you home.
Yes. And so the brain resists as long as it can. And the body's like, no, we're not doing this anymore. I am pulling this car over.
Yeah. I am making you feel it.
That's right. It will shut us down. And it
That's
starts
true.
out, it can show up in chronic illness, chronic if we have colds, even allergies, asthma. So chronic things,
No,
um,
autoimmune.
autoimmune conditions. I knew where I was going. My brain was like, no, we're not doing this.
Mind meld.
Autoimmune conditions, all of those
Yeah.
are tied back to thoughts and belief systems and unresolved emotional things that stem from traumas of our past.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I've actually experienced a release of like some big trauma that it was around my dad. It was our dad who was the problem in my family. And I had a physical healing.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything really dramatic, but it was in the form of just like this pain went away.
Yeah.
It just went away. And
yep, that happens.
Yeah,
Your
it was
body is
cool.
finally like, you listen to me. You let me tell a story. You let me feel some emotions. And
Yeah.
look, you're alive to tell about it. You did not die from that experience.
No, in fact, life got better. So yeah, I like that. Well, let's talk to our audience about you said relax, release, and reset, and learning how to heal the trauma from the inside out.
Yeah.
So what do those words mean? Like what, and some practical tips you can give us to get started.
Relax your body is the first point. So most people don't realize that there is some part of their body that holds tension. And you can do this sitting or standing, but it's kind of imagine like you're taking a scanner down over your body. And you can rate, where do I feel tightness or tension in my body on a scale of 1 to 10. And if it's like a 10, it's gonna come up in certain places, and it can be tied to certain emotions, right? But if you imagine yourself kind of like, this is a really therapeutic approach here, you're gonna laugh. It's called the wet noodle. It's truly a therapeutic approach because car accident example, if you brace yourself and you tighten everything, you're like hard spaghetti and you will break on impact. But if you become like a wet noodle and you relax your body, and you don't have the same impact of breaking. So you scan your body, and then you just take some breaths in, a short breath in, a long exhale to relax your nervous system. And do that 2 or 3 sets. Notice that scan again. Your tension is not at the same level. You cannot heal a traumatic situation if your body is not relaxed, because your body is telling you we're not safe. So relax your body. The second part is releasing the emotions is really important. Holding on to that anger is going to stop up your liver in a lot of different ways. So here's what I tell people is you don't even have to have a therapist. I love therapists. I'm a therapist, right? But people object to spending the money. That's fine. Write it out, talk it out, move it out. Get the words and the emotions out of you. Write it out, the good, bad, and the ugly of what happened to you. When you're done, tear it up and throw it away. We all have these great little things called cell phones, and they have a voice memo on it. Open the voice memo and start talking the good, bad, and ugly of it, because your body is all of a sudden saying, oh, now you're going to listen to me. Let's get some stuff out. Delete it when you're done, because you don't need to send that to anybody. And then move your body. Take a walk, stretch, release the energy that you have pent up. And then the reset is giving your mind new information. And this is where the affirmations come in, because our brain is actually it has the capacity to rewire the neuron pathways. So giving it new information. I'm safe. I'm okay. It's safe for me to express my emotions. I have new skills and tools. I can get help. Simple things that you at that age might have needed to hear that you didn't have to pull from. Those 3 things continue to wash and repeat. Those patterns can help work you through some really uncomfortable things, including the trauma stored in your body.
Yes. And what popped in my head when you were saying that is that if you're in a dire situation, don't try to relax yourself.
Right.
Get out of the dire situation.
If you are in physical danger, you need to get to safety first.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need help to get to safety.
Yeah.
If you are in emotional danger of harming yourself or harming others, you can call 988. It's an emergency mental health crisis hotline, and a crisis support person will be on the other end, and they can send support to you if you need it. I'm talking about somebody who's maybe come through and is not in imminent danger of hurting themselves or others, or being hurt by someone else or by themselves. This is what they would try to do in those scenarios.
Yeah. Those are extreme, but yes, that's a very important part too. Extreme situations happen, life happens. Yeah. So, wow. So now we're safe and we're working through. I love journaling. I find journaling to be very helpful, and tear it up and throw it away. I love that too. I've also cut it with scissors. And which
tear it, cut it, burn it. Here's the difference between the initial strategy I suggested and journaling. Journaling is meant to truly process it's for the intent to process and release, but also for healing and forward movement. And initially what comes up in trauma responses is unresolved communication. And we need to get all of that stuff out. It's kind of like saying, I'm going to give you this brand new office space. And then I open the door and it's full of junk and trash and dust. You're not going to move new furniture in. You're going to clean it out first. So the brain dump or the writing it out initially is to get all that initial junk out of the way so you can actually process something in a journal. Because there's emotional energy attached to both of those, and they're both different. So you don't want to keep your initial brain dump emotional energy charge in a journal that's meant for processing and moving forward with.
Oh, that makes total sense. That's like saying, that makes total sense. It's carrying, then you're kind of carrying your baggage with you if you do that. Yeah. Wow. I have learned so much from you. I can't wait to talk to you again.
Yes.
How can people find you, Jessica?
They can, there's a great QR code they can scan that has all of my current ways to work with me, my freebie. They can find me on Facebook, Vibrant Voice by Jessica, also on Instagram, Jessica Vibrant Hammock. But the fastest way to get a hold of me is probably to email me, vibrantvoice20@gmail.com.
Wonderful. What is the freebie that you're offering?
It is a first aid stress relief tool. And so there's a simple tactic you can do by holding your arms in front of your head like this, and it can reset any emotional pathway. So you take one hand and you actually touch the emotional points on your arm like this, and you put it against your forehead. So you're connecting the energetic circuits in your body. You breathe through that a couple times, and then you switch sides because you have different emotions on different hands. And you breathe through that a couple times. So even if you can't fully identify the emotion, you can essentially reset your system, decompress. But this actually walks you through the steps.
Oh, that's a fabulous. Thank you for that gift. Get that, people. That's an excellent tool to have in your toolbox.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I hope you'll come back and visit us again.
Yeah, it was so fun.
All right, everybody, stay tuned. We'll be right back after this. Hi, everybody. Christy here with Kids Corner. So we're in March, and I've been thinking a lot about practicing mindfulness with kids. I did this a little bit in the classroom, and it was kind of phenomenal how they responded. And if you have very young children, it's essentially boils down to the breathing. So one really super fun way to get kids to focus on their breathing is to make a game out of it. You can take something like a plush toy or a pen or anything small, even a box of tissue, and you have them lay on their backs and they put it on their bellies. And then the goal is to breathe in hard and pop the toy or the pen or whatever off their belly so it falls. Of course, that's a fun game for a while, but then you switch it up and you slow it down And the goal becomes not letting it fall. Like, how can breathe in really deeply and let your belly rise, but not let that whatever item is fall off their belly, and then breathe out and keep it. And now keep in mind, this is a game that's maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes at the most. And it's fun, but it gets them to start thinking about breathing intentionally. And it's great for parents too. It's so fun if everybody in the family is lying on the floor trying to pop toys off their belly or not pop toys off their belly. So let's in this new spring that we're in, let's start practicing mindfulness that improves our lives in every way just by simply breathing. Okay, ciao for now.
Imagine a life where every day is fueled by energy, vitality, and purpose. Where age is just a number and your best years are always ahead. Hi, I'm Andy Nam, certified functional nutrition longevity coach, best-selling author, and international speaker. After reversing my own chronic health struggles, I'm now on a mission to help you live longer, stronger, and of course to look younger. I combine biohacking, cutting-edge nutrition, and stem cell technology to unlock your body's full potential. So no matter where your starting point is, I'm going to guide you toward a chronically healthy life. Ready to reverse aging and take control of your future? Connect with me today. Your journey to longevity starts here.
Is like a lightning rod. It's energy that's coming in, tremendous energy that's coming in. It's up to every single one of us of what we're going to do with that energy.
Welcome back to Chronically Healthy Life. I really like the interview we just had. Is eye-opening for me.
Yes, Jessica brought so many tools. I guess tools are probably the best way, to look at things differently. It's very interesting. She was talking about how certain organs hold certain emotions, and even as a coach, I learned some of that. But I don't actually talk about it, and she brought that in very simple terms to understand. And I think a lot of people that is having digestive discomfort or stuff like that, it may not be the food you're eating. It may not be, not enough exercise. It may be just a darn emotions you're holding up inside that you have to let go.
Right. Yeah. TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, they do talk about that too.
Exactly.
The heart is related to, the happiness or heartbreaks. I think the lung is related to grief. I might be wrong. I have to look it up. But anyways, it's a thing. It is real and it's true. And it's something that when we grew up as kids, we never had exposure to this. It's like we told you to suck it up and move on. Exactly. So this is really nice, really good for us.
Yes, it was refreshing to see different perspectives. And that is the beauty of our show, is we bring specialists in to bring different perspectives to help you in different aspects of your life. So next week we have a homestead specialist, and her name is what Dorothy Louise Beasley. Okay. Right. So she's a homestead specialist, and I think she's from Canada. So another Canadian. We've been getting a lot of Canadians on our show. I don't know. We've been attracting Canadians. But anyways, join us here every Friday at 7 p.m. CST. You can watch past episodes at e.360tv.com in the Vitality TV network, or of course on our YouTube channel at Chronically Healthy Life. If you'd like to know more about what we do or how we can help you live a chronic healthy life, visit our website, chronicallyhealthylife.com. If you want tips on living longer, make sure to download our free book at longevityisthenewlword.com or set up a free 30-minute consult at longevitywithandy.com.
If you have any comments, questions, suggestions about this show, you can comment on our Facebook page, chronicallyhealthylife.com. Chronically Healthy Life, or email us at anything@chronicallyhealthylife.com. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.